In this video series, I will focus on one candle making mistake I have encountered while learning this craft on my own. Making a candle in a tin or jar is straightforward and gives you very little space for an error. A pillar candle, on the other hand, can get way more complicated. Once you take the candle out of the mold, you will be able to see all surface imperfections you have either made due to the wrong order of operation or by not following the right process. Today we will take a closer look at one specific wax property. It's liquid when warmed up. The question is, how liquid does it get? Is it liquid like water? I thought the wax, even in the liquid state, would be pretty thick, would have a hard time to leak through a small opening. So the other day I was testing out for the very first time a pillar candle making process. You need to use during the process an acrylic mold, a wick, and hot wax. I'm thinking nothing overly complicated, right? The catch is that the pillar candle mold has an opening at the bottom. The opening, or as we can call it, a hole, is used for the wick. My expectation was that once you put the wick through the mold opening, even though the wick is not super tight and will not seal the opening completely at the bottom, I was expecting it will be enough to prevent the wax from leaking through. I was assuming the liquid wax, just like water, would cause the wick to expand a bit, creating a waterproof seal at the bottom. And then, even if that was not the case and a bit of wax would leak through, it would harden immediately, having the same sealing effect on the opening anyways. So what could go wrong? So I went ahead and bravely poured hot wax into the mold, filling it up to about 60%. After a few seconds, I started noticing leaking wax at the bottom. For a split second, I was sure the wax will stop there and will harden and will prevent further leakage, but it just kept going. I have underestimated the time it takes for the wax to become solid. The first pillar candle attempt had to be cancelled, and before the whole wax would leak out, I had to put the wax back into the wax pot as soon as possible to prevent making any more mess I already made on my work table. A little distress from the first failure and strong motivation for success made me come up with a second idea. The second idea was not far from the first one. I wanted to prove myself the theory that the wax hardens when cooled and that my thinking process was correct. That it is possible to seal the opening in the mold by simply letting the wax harden and I won't need anything else. So during the second attempt I was way more careful. I have decided to pour the wax into the pillar candle mold in layers, taking breaks in between the pours. Of course, this method is not very practical if you want to make 5 or more candles in one day, because you would spend a weekend doing those. But the desire to prove myself I was thinking correctly was stronger than anything else and was preventing me to think of another, more efficient way how to do it properly. So that's how I filled up the pillar candle mold, one layer at a time, scared with each time the hot wax would melt the layer below and will start leaking again. Eventually, I managed to fill up the mold completely without another accident, which honestly filled up my heart with pride and satisfaction. But once I was done, spending close to 15 minutes just with pouring of one candle mold, I got the aha moment which replaced the feeling of pride with feeling of embarrassment. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of an invention called paper tape? Would it be possible to simply apply the tape at the bottom opening, pour the wax in the mold in one shot and carry on with your day instead of literally watching the paint dry? Here is a lesson I have learned today. If you do something which is not going according to your expectations, don't force it. Take a moment, even a short break to distract your mind with something else. That's usually when you will have your aha moment. Don't let the need to prove yourself right from exploring new, alternative ways how to do things you are doing, and perhaps this new, fresh idea will be better, more efficient than the old plan. If you have similar experience with any other project you are working on where your judgment got cloudy because you needed to prove yourself something, please let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear about it. Thank you for your time, and I am looking forward to see you in my next video.